tonight we're gonna make love. You know how I know? Because it's Wednesday. And Wednesday night is the night that we usually make love. Monday night is my night to cook. Tuesday night we go and visit your mother. But Wednesday we make sweet weekly love. It's when everything is just right. There's nothing good on TV. You haven't had your after-work social sports team practice, so you're not too tired. Oh, it's all on. You lean in and whisper something sexy in my ear like, I might go to bed now, I've got work in the morning. I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, it's business time. It's business time. It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business. It's business time. Ooh, it's business. It's business time. Yeah. Then went in the bathroom, brushing our teeth. That's all part of the foreplay. I love foreplay. A shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake. Ow. And you sort out the recycling. That isn't part of the foreplay process, but it is still very important. Next thing you know, we're in the bedroom. You're wearing that baggy old ugly t-shirt you got from your work several years ago. You know the one, baby, with the curly stain. I removed my clothes very, very clumsily, tripping sensuously over my pants. Now I'm naked, except for my socks, and you know when I'm down to just my socks, what time it is. It's business. It's business time. You know when I'm down to my socks, it's time for business. That's why they call business socks. Ooh. It's business. It's business time. Yeah. Make a love. Make a love for. Make a love for two. Make a love for 2 minutes. When it's with me, girl, you only need 2 minutes. Because I'm so intense. You whisper something sexy like, is that it? I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, that's it. And you tell me you want some more. Well, I'm not surprised. But I'm quite sleepy. It's business. It's business time. Business hours are over, baby. It's business. It's business time.
That's right, baby. It's Wednesday. And Wednesday's usually the day that me and Jeffrey make love. We got a great show for you tonight. The Bears drop another one. Fire their head coach. Baker and the Bucks survive the NCAA playoffs. We are planting flags. We are knocking quarterbacks out. It is going to be one of the spicy shows as Jeffrey is.
This box is killing me.
Jeff's in shambles already this morning, everyone. It's going to be a great... When Jeff's in shambles, you know it's going to be a great show. And that's really, really all it is. Jeffrey, how are we doing? How was your weekend? How was your Thanksgiving? Looking good today.
Thanksgiving was crazy, actually. We woke up Thanksgiving Day, and my 1-year-old, his legs weren't working. So literally, like, his legs...
He's just like, I can't move my legs?
Yeah, he could kick them. He couldn't stand. So we had to go to the ER. We went to Nemours over in Lake Nona. Shout out to them. I always say if you have kids, it's the best place to go. They did a bunch of tests on him and figured out that he had a viral infection a few weeks ago. It moved down into his hips, and so his hips became inflamed. And so it's very common in kids, happens all the time. But yeah, that was how Thanksgiving started off, and then had a nice
Obviously, lunch. You guys are both freaking out.
Oh, of course, bro. It's like the worst 4 hours of your life because you're just Google doctoring everything. You know what I mean? Like I'm like studying polio and trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Like you have no idea what's happening. So it's just, very freaky thing. But everything's fine. He was walking the next day. It just happens in kids sometimes. So that happened, and then
Wow.
had a good weekend. Worked. Was of course busy as the holiday season is in hospitality, and I just bought some of my first crypto, which was good. I'm gonna
Oh,
start
nice.
throwing some money in the old crypto every single week. Um,
What'd you get into?
just your normal stuff, your Bitcoin, your XRP, your Ethereum, and your Litecoin. But I really want to get into some of the AI spaces and the gaming spaces when it comes to those coins. But the problem is that I download my Coinbase. I can't get it on there. It tells me I have to download the separate Coinbase wallet or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Coinbase, you can't get any of the what I like to call them stinky coins.
Yeah.
They kind of have to be certified or like at least have a good reputation before Coinbase will put them on. So a lot of the pump and dumps aren't going to be on there.
There's like a
Um,
Neo Tokyo one that I wanted to be a part of, which is a gaming token, which I think is going to kind of dominate the gaming space, which I really want to get in early on. The problem is that I'm not able to do it in our region. Like when you go, even when you go on the other platform, you're going to end up having to get a VPN to VPN to somewhere else to be able to buy it. So,
well, we can
kind of
talk
interesting for that
offline
thing,
here,
but
and I can redirect you towards some wallets that you can
okay.
buy whatever you want.
All right,
Um,
cool. Yeah, because I'm really trying to get into those things a little bit earlier, before like the AI space and stuff like that blows up.
well, AI has already been blowing up. I've been
It is.
trading AI stocks for almost 6 months now. But there's a little bit of a fizzle on it, so you don't know. Like I said, I'm an XRP holder. Welcome to the
Yeah,
club. And obviously, I've been holding Bitcoin for 5 years now. So
yeah.
it's one of those things where I'll never sell it. I did sell a little bit this year to fund my stock account, but I'll never sell it. I mean, God, I think it's going to break 100 this year, but I mean, they're talking about Kathy Wood has it predicted for 1.3 million per coin by the 2030.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like I told my wife, I'm like, as long as we don't absolutely need it, and I said honestly, if we absolutely need it, I'll sell my house first
It's funny because
before before I sell that.
I kind of thought that I saw the way the election was going to go, and I thought that was the time to get in. Um, but I just kind of drug my feet, and then as soon as it was announced, the winner of the election, presidential wise, you just saw this boom happen because of the acceptance and the people that are around
Correct.
said president elect that are going to kind of drive this force, and
Once we
also
get into a little bit of like El Salvador, like it's like their currency, right? Like they
Mhm.
bought a bunch of it back when it was like 30,000.
Yeah,
Um,
we're one of the largest shareholders of Bitcoin as well too.
yeah, but the U.S.
The
government
U.S.
has
government.
also confiscated Bitcoin. It's not like they went out and purchased $2 trillion. They fucking stole it from people.
Mm.
So yeah,
They are the
whatever.
biggest
That's all
gangsters in the world.
they are. So, but I mean, I love the United States government though. Love you guys. IRS, love all you guys. You guys, shout out to what you do every single day. Love you guys. But in El
Can't
Salvador,
wait for there to be less of you.
you can actually like pay with Bitcoin at Starbucks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that to me is when it's going to become very, very interesting because to me, you can't be taxed on that. And I know that Trump's already come out and said that he wants to try to eliminate, which again, to me, when it comes to taxing on stocks and stuff like that, like to me, that money's already been taxed just because I made more money out of it. So like my case in point, if I made $100,000 on a stock trade, the government wants 30,000 of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, bitch, you didn't put up any money to risk. And then if I lose $30,000 or if I lose $100,000 in a year, that's my net loss. I can only write off $3,000 a year.
Yeah. It's funny how they have that on Coinbase as well too. Where it says your unrealized gain underneath. Yeah. It's like, yeah, and I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
And that's what Kamala and the Democrats wanted to start taxing on.
Correct, right? Which is why I assumed why it was put there. I don't know why else you would put it there, but anyway.
Well, no, I mean that's that's on everything. That's on stocks, anything, because you want to see how much money you've actually made. But you know what? Welcome to the crypto space. Let's get into it. Let's get a little bit of sports going on. I did have a great turkey day, by the way, though. I probably made the best turkey that I've ever made.
First of all, the picture that you put in the group was unreal,
dude. So I didn't even do it. I didn't even like when, Jeremy was talking about pull it off at 155, let it rest for, I actually even just skipped that step because it was tough to time out. Right. I mean, it was just tough, but I started smoking it at 10 o'clock at night, the night before. And dude, when I woke up at 7 o'clock, dude, that thing looked so pretty. And like those sticks, those were sticks of butter that just slowly melted over it while it was, oh, dude, so great. Incredible. So it was good to see the family. And then of course, we flipped on the Bears game.
Did we ask you, first of all, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side? Did we ask that?
We talked about it last time about sweet potato casserole.
Sweet potato casserole is the only answer. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to, Jeremy. So basically that bird, that was all breast. Jeff clicked the side of his button. That was actually a turkey breast, which he brined for 3 days and deboned it. Dude, it was absolutely amazing. Yeah. You can't hit that side button, Jeff. You just can't do it. Yeah, it was amazing. And then, like I said, then we turned on the Bears game, and that's where shit went sideways.
I think we're down on Twitter.
No, I'm watching it.
Doesn't say that we're still. I don't know. I don't have it on my thing anymore.
I'm live. It says live on mine. I can see you where you just came back on. Yeah, we're still good. Yep. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about a little NFL football. The Bears go into Detroit and once again put themselves in a position to win the game. And they found a new epic way to lose the game. And I tell you what, as Bears fans, you just have to, it's kind of like what I was talking about Jeffrey here, the pre-show at Florida State, like after the fifth fumble, you have to just start laughing at yourself at some point. And that's exactly what it's time to do, guys. It's time to just start laughing at our point. Thomas Brown has been an absolute treasure for the Chicago Bears. What he's done offensively, just again, I just can't believe or would love to know what Shane Waldron said in interviews that made him say that he's the guy. But Caleb had some big misses this game. One of us being the cross route late in the game to DJ Moore that he was going to score a touchdown on that. That probably could have. He just missed it. There was a little bit of pressure there, but I'm sure he'll tell you he missed the same thing. And then we get into the final drive where I do believe he came down from like the 10-yard line. He's got us all the way down to the 25. We're already in field goal range, a holding penalty, and then of course a sack. Now, again, this is one of Caleb Williams' things that he has to overcome. And I think the more times that he tries to run around like Superman and gets away from it, it gets out of that situation, the more confidence it gives him that he's able to do that. It takes a really poor sack with 35 seconds to go. It's absolutely just cannot happen there. You have to throw the ball away. That's the only thing you can do. Do not take yourself out of field goal range. He does take the sack, puts us out of field goal range. And then chaos ensues. That's all I can say. 35 seconds, he goes down. My parents, everyone's screaming at the TV, as I'm sure all of us Bears fans are absolutely screaming. I said, no, this is the right thing to do. You do not want to take the timeout here. It looks like they had another play called. You want to call the play. You want to middle of the field still open. You got 10 yards. Get yourself back into field goal range. Kick it. Well, with 15 seconds, Caleb looks at the clock and realizes that he doesn't have enough time. Changes the play to go for all for broke. Now, when I listened to his press conference, he said that he didn't feel that he had enough time to get it off. And then he came back and said, well, we did have a timeout. I don't think he knew that he still had a timeout, to be perfectly honest with you. I like the original play call. No matter what happens, we're going to call the next play. They had the next play loaded. You try to get the 5 to 10 yards and get yourself in a field goal range. The whole field's open, and then you call the timeout. Again, Caleb changing the play with 15 seconds, saying that he didn't think that they had enough time to run the play and kick the field goal, tells me that he didn't know that there was a timeout. Matt Eberflus is the head coach of the Chicago Bears, has to save your rookie quarterback from himself. He is not a veteran, regardless of how well he's playing or what he commands on the field. He still is a rookie, and there's still situational awareness that has to be accounted for by the head coach. At 15 seconds, when you see him changing the play, and I look at Matt Eberflus, and he looks like a deer in headlights, I knew we were screwed. When you look at the Bears sideline, they are jumping up and down. Like, go, do something. And Eberflus is just standing there like, I wonder if he's going to do something. Naturally, he does throw it to Rome Odunze, who he said that he was expecting him to have one-on-one coverage. That actual throw, it looked like Rome kind of stopped the route. It looked like he was open. That could have been a touchdown. End of the day, Eberflus does not call the timeout. They lose the game with a timeout in their pocket. And Friday morning, Eberflus is finally fired from the Chicago Bears. Now we're getting all kinds of stories, right? That Ryan Poles wanted to fire him before the season started, but was told no by the McCaskies. That he wanted to fire him after the Patriots lost and was told no by the McCaskies. So to me, George, you're on Twitter. I see you now, which is ballsy, by the way. I would like to see some responses on that, as he was quick to point out there was some memes that were come out, said Eberflus fired, just getting ahead of it. He's like, absolutely not true. Then he fires him next day. Now we're looking for a new head coach. I don't know. As a non-Bears stockholder, what did you think when you saw what the hell happened in that fourth quarter?
Well, so to be fair, I only saw. I didn't really see the very end of the fourth quarter.
Well, you see the replay, right?
Yeah, I had to go to work early. There was a lot going on. Anyway, but when I saw the replay of everything that happened, my first thought was, I understand what they were doing, which is you have 38 seconds. You want to line up. You want to do a QB draw, right up the middle, right? The middle was kind of parted right there. There was an availability to pick up 10 yards. We all know Cairo Santos probably needs those extra 10 yards based off of previous situations that have happened to the Chicago Bears as well. So I understand the play call. Now, when Caleb sees what Caleb sees, when he starts to change it, that's the immediate time you need to take a timeout. The fact that they didn't, because you still, even if you don't have a timeout, you can still,
5-yard out.
Throw a 5-yard out. You can even, if you have 20 seconds, you can still use the middle of the field and spike the ball, right?
Correct.
I mean, so.
Well, that might have been third down. So I'm not 100% sure.
I thought he got sacked on second down.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Or first down, I mean. So I thought it was second down, but I'm not 100% sure on it. But there's a bevy of options for you to be able to go with, and just. It's the epitome of the Bears season, man. But I do think there's encouraging signs. I think Caleb looks great. I mean, the throw for 260 something and 3 tutties, no interceptions. He now has the record for most consecutive passes with outs. So I don't know. This was third and 26.
So that was third down. Yeah, so he got sacked on second down. So this is third down. Okay. So unless, to your point, unless he went and got the first down, he wasn't spiking the ball. But I mean, I don't see where it's not going to show us the one before, at least this one. But yeah, I mean, it's just, but like I said right here, he's open. I think he just lost the ball.
Yeah, he also kind of stopped running. I don't know why. I think it was just confusion by everybody. So
there it is right there. Right.
Yeah. That's also this face right here.
Look at this guy. Get a little echo there. This is nuts, dude. I mean,
Jeremy does have a little bit of Eberflus in him.
Ooh, they do kind of look alike.
I don't know. God. The cut of their jib is very similar.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I see it. I see it through the. Yeah, if he had a full beard, yeah, I see it. I see it.
It will never happen.
Jeremy, a beard?
I can't grow a beard. Plain simple.
Okay.
Jeremy, as a Bears fan, where were you and what were you feeling in this moment?
I was lucky enough to work a double at work, so I was there with a couple of regulars who are Detroit Lion fans.
Perfect.
Who sat and chirped the whole time. They were very nice. Very Wally and Andrea were great, but I
don't know what chirping. They had to chirp about. It's not like they dominated that game.
Well, the joke that I saw afterwards, but that I wish I would have thought of at the time, was that Shabuzi had more time on the field than the Bears offense did in the first quarter. So,
How did Shabuzi do at halftime? I didn't get a chance to see it.
Everyone loved it. Everyone that was there loved it.
Have you heard his new song?
I've not, but if you haven't got the notice, your $5 bonus bet is up, so you better get it quick.
Is it going now?
Going now.
Hey, Jeremy,
yes.
Do you remember, while I got you on here real quick, do you remember the Bills-Chiefs game 2 weeks ago? When me and Jeffrey, I said, I'm taking the Bills. Jeffrey said he's taking the Chiefs. And there was a mention of a truffle dinner involved. I can see I'm just gonna have to go back and look at the video myself.
You just gotta pull it. That's all.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull it. All right, no big deal. So yes, so the Chicago Bears once again the laughing stock of the NFL. Partial blame is definitely on Caleb Williams as well, but the bigger blame goes on Matt Eberflus for once again not saving his rookie quarterback from himself.
That face right there. Yep.
Yeah, of course. That's why he's just gonna stay there. So now we get to talk about new coaching prospects, and I'll tell you, I'm pretty pissed off that the fact of Cliff Kingsbury is number one on so many lists, including you, Cousin Clay. And this is why. And I don't really care, but I'm just saying, Cliff Kingsbury came to interview with the Chicago Bears. And for whatever reason, the Chicago Bears said no. Now, again, to my cousin's point, he said, well, this is Matt Eberflus's team. He probably didn't want somebody that's going to overshadow him. But then I'm also like, well, why wouldn't you just want the best offensive coordinator that you can get? Because if he wins with you, then he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere, as long as you're doing your job. So I don't understand that mentality. But the fact is that the Chicago Bears passed on Cliff Kingsbury because he wasn't good enough to be his offensive coordinator. And if Ryan Poles and Williams was not involved in that decisions, then shame on both of you guys as well. Because to me, the general manager and the vice president should also at least sit in the interviews and just not leave. I guess maybe that's a disconnection that I have. Does the head coach just make all of his hires and there's no other checks and balances? Does he just hire whoever he wants?
I think he said, well, I think this fits our scheme better. And I think
what scheme?
I don't listen.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, what did Shane Waldron say that blew Cliff Kingsbury out of the water in an offensive coordinator interview? Was there a little surf and turf, little rub and tug going on or that?
Over the pants handy? Something had
What could he possibly have said to influence this guy to be like, that's my guy? But again, and I'll say the same thing with Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles, you are the general manager of the Chicago Bears. You need to be involved in especially something of your draft pick. Your draft pick is Caleb Williams. You need to make sure that your Cadillac has 93 octane fuel and that is driving on the roads that your Cadillac needs to drive on. You don't just leave it all to the head coach who apparently, like the reports that you wanted to fire at the end of the year, you don't just leave it all to them. So the fact that Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles didn't know what was happening or who was hired or didn't, to me, and then now you're going to say, well, we're going to interview Cliff Kingsbury. He's top of our list.
I think there also might have been some little deception. They didn't want to hire Kingsbury to show their hand with Caleb Williams, even though everyone knew they wanted to do that. They thought maybe they
had the number one pick. It doesn't. I mean, you had Ryan Poles had no intention to trade that pick. If he did, I mean, hell, the Washington Commanders offered 3 first rounds to go to number 2. You could have traded 3 first rounders, got number 2. You could have picked Jaden, or you could have traded with the fucking Patriots. They wanted up as well. You could have got like probably 5 first round picks and Drake May. I'm not saying that was something that should have been done, but that argument to me is just, I don't know. So anyway, we got Ben Johnson. We got Cliff Kingsbury, obviously Thomas Brown. And to me, that's one that I feel like Thomas Brown has to be involved in whatever capacity moving forward. If he continues to have great success with Caleb Williams, then he needs to be the front runner. Or if we go for like a Mike Vrabel type, which I'm also down with, but Mike Vrabel needs to accept Thomas Brown as his offensive coordinator. I think if you can keep Thomas Brown as whatever nucleus in this Bears organization, coaching staff that you can, I think that is a win-win. Obviously, Caleb has reacted to Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown has brought the best out of Caleb that we've seen so far. The players seem to be buying into the offensive scheme. To me, you don't move on from that. If you don't want it, if he doesn't fit the head coach or he can't handle the head coach, which I don't know how he couldn't based on what's happening, we'll see at the end of the year, and you do decide to bring in an experienced Mike Vrabel type, Thomas Brown has to stay unless he gets a head coaching gig somewhere else. He has to stay.
I did see an interesting point for this for Thomas Brown being a head coach. Andrew Whitworth from what is it, Prime?
The Rams?
Amazon Prime. He played for the Rams. Yeah. He tweeted this out a while, like earlier this year, maybe said something about Thomas Brown it's a fantastic coach, and he modeled him after like a Mike Tomlin type head coach, and he said that guy should be not just a passing coordinator, he should be a head coach within the next couple of years. And then all of a sudden, when this all went down, he was like, listen, I told you guys, this guy's going to make something happen. He has already shown it with being the, our offensive coordinator when we got rid of Waldron, but now he says he's going to go down on the field and he's still going to call the plays from the field. So we'll see what happens this weekend. I mean, so.
Well, again, we have to break the cycle. I think that's what we can all agree as Bear fans. We have to break the cycle of this vicious cycle. And to me, Thomas Brown breaks that cycle. Again, even if he doesn't become the head coach and he stays the offensive coordinator, you're probably going to lose him, right, the next year. But whoever they bring in, Thomas Brown has to be in the mix. There's also Chucky. Chucky's involved. One of the ones I didn't really understand was Josh McNown. It's not McNown. McDaniel. What's his? He's I think he's the
Josh
quarterback
McDaniel.
coach from Minnesota. He's on our head coaching list.
Someone tried to tell me Brian Flores was on our list, but I said we don't need another defensive minded head coach. We don't.
I don't even mind that.
I think we have a defense. Let's stick with the defense. Bring a defensive coordinator in that's going to look at this and go, here's our strengths, here's our weaknesses, but let our head coach be an offensive coach. I'm sorry. I think we've gone down the road too many years with defensive coaches, and where's it gotten us?
I just want a head coach. That's all. Oh, Marcus Freeman has been toted around. Give me a break, dude.
Notre Dame's head coach?
Yes. I mean, Aaron. So Aaron Glenn is the Lions defensive coordinator. He's the odds-on betting favorite.
Correct.
Then Mike Vrabel, then Kellen Moore, Ben Johnson, Brian Flores, Joe Brady, Marcus Freeman, Bill Belichick, Liam Cohen, and Thomas Brown. I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Regardless to say, I think that we can both agree at the end of the day, the Bears will do the wrong thing. And I think that's all we can move on to. Speaking of doing the right thing, however, though, as we bring Jeffrey back in, the Bucs head into Carolina. 26.
I'm just trying to figure out because like my Hard Rock account.
Still trying to get this stupid bonus bet.
No, I already got it. But when I went in, so I'm just gonna put this up here because I don't really care and I don't think there's any information that can be taken from me. So I deposited $50 last night, right? I don't know if you can see this. Okay.
I see
deposited $50. Right. I took the Magic Live 25, right? So that would be So if you were to just add these two, right, that would be $91, right? Well, I accidentally bet the Jokic twice. So I hit both of those. So I hit another 41. And then I had a $7 huge parlay. But my account is only at 107.
What should it be?
Well, I'm if you take just the wins, it would be
all right. Rip it off to me. Rip off your wins. Let's do it real quick.
41-13, 41-13, 57-50.
Hold on, dude. Like, do you think I'm a freaking human calculator? 41-13 times 2, okay? Plus
5750.
5750. Okay.
Minus 750.
Minus 750. That equals $132.26.
Yeah, and I have 107.
Okay, so minus 107 even?
Yeah.
You're off by $25.26.
Yeah.
Does any of those bets total that?
Nope.
The Jokic one doesn't?
No. It was 25 for 41-13.
Weird.
Unless they wouldn't post it as a winner and then cancel it because I double bet it, right?
They could just it could just be that you actually didn't double bet it, but yeah, it just shows one twice.
Well, it showed that I bet it out of my own money twice last night.
I don't know then.
So,
well, one bet that he did bet was the Panthers plus the points against the Bucs, and that one did turn out pretty well. Bucky Irving goes wild in this game. Ankle injury to Baker Mayfield that had me feeling like my child had just entered the NFL. I was very, very nervous for Mr. Trash, but let's talk a little bit about the game first. This was a game that we both talked about. This is one of those trap games where you're headed into Carolina. This Carolina team is definitely not the same team that started out the year. The Bucs struggled with them, and honestly, the Bucs probably should have lost this game if it was not for a late fumble. Was that in overtime? The fumble was in overtime.
It was, and
Yeah.
it was 3rd and 5. Carolina throws a back shoulder to Adam Thielen, who catches it with one hand, one of the best catches of the year.
He had a
Goes
couple
down.
great catches.
Carolina's going absolutely nuts. They hand the ball off to Chuba Hubbard, and Anthony Nelson just comes from behind and decides that he's going to wrestle the ball away, and strips it. We fall on it.
They were in field goal range as well, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they were definitely in field goal range. It was one of those games that the Bucks don't win. We haven't won all year long, and it felt really good to finally get one back.
And actually, wait a minute. So when it went to overtime, if I remember correctly, you got the ball first and didn't score.
Correct. We won the toss and missed the field goal.
Then I was like, oh boy, this is how this is gonna go again. Look out. Jeff, we'll get that Hard Rock count figured out, buddy. Don't you worry.
They're messaging me right now, so
we're so you started a live chat with the Hard Rock while you're in the middle of a program.
You and Jeremy were going on and on about.
What did you think we're going to do that for 2 hours?
Didn't know how long it was going to last for. I
mean, holy macaroons! I will say this again, as I said, when Baker Mayfield rolled his injury, I saw Kyle Trask getting warmed up, and honestly, I got all the warm and fuzzies inside. Really was looking forward to his debut. I thought that he was in a great position to be able to lead Tampa Bay back down. Comes in for 2 plays, looks so comfortable in there. 1 handoff, 1 pass, looking really, really good. So I think he's going to get a shot somewhere at some point. We'll see when that happens. The more he sits back, I just think the better he gets. So the move on. Now, with that being said, with that Bucks win, the Falcons also lost this week again. Let's see, where's this one at? Where's this at? They lost 17-13 to the Chargers at home. The Falcons, after starting the season 6-3, are now what? 6-6?
6-6. They lost 3 in a row. It's
lost get 3 in a row.
Really tough this week. They got the Vikings, so that's going to be tough as well. Yeah,
there's nothing to look forward to if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan right now. It's so bad that they are actively shopping Kirk Cousins.
Well, they can't shop him this year because the trade deadline's passed, but
they have already reached out or whatever you want to call it. And apparently Cousins does have a no trade clause, which he said that he will go, but he wants to go to a contender. And it's just like, what contender to me is going to take on Kirk Cousins? Because let me guess, if you're a contender, you already have a quarterback. Is there any teams out there that are contenders that don't have a quarterback?
No.
That's what that the whole phrase just really. Well, I want to go to a contender, bitch. If you were if you were playing good, we would be a contender here. You have all of the weapons around you, but you suck. And so because you suck, we're ready to move on to our rookie quarterback, who we feel is much more mobile and gives us a better chance to win. So we need to trade you to get something out of it. I want to go to a contender. Let me tell you, Mr. Kirk Cousins, you have made so much money over the course of your career. Hats off to you. You did really well in Minnesota. And now Sam Darnold's doing very well in Minnesota. This just goes back to, I think, what we talked about numerous times over. The coaching and the coaching schemes are probably one of the most important things in sports with the NFL. When you look at baseball and coaching, and okay, so you got shifts, analytics, is there really that much difference? Or, how are you coaching a batter when he goes up to the plate? That's player instinct. That's player, preparation, like looking for the curveball. The NFL has to be schemed, or it's just not going to work.
Correct.
I think coaching is just severely underrated in the NFL. The Chiefs win another stinky one with, of course, the help of the referees.
Always.
17-19 Chiefs. Raiders are driving. I do believe they were already in field goal range.
They were. They were. I think they were on the 35 or 40 or something like that. They were across midfield for sure.
And then they did a Raiders play, right? They raided Raiders. The Giants are going to Giants. The Raiders are going to Raider. The whole offensive line basically went fast. It was originally called a false start. The top judge is coming in, false start. Then they all get together, and miraculously, they change it. They change it to not a false start. What was it, a legal motion or something of that nature? Then the Raiders fumbled the ball, so the Chiefs got the ball, game over. Now, there's been a lot of debate about this one. And we all know that the Chiefs just seem to get all the right calls, right? They just seem to, whether you want to believe it or not, whatever. It's kind of like the 2020 election. It just seemed weird, right? So is there a conspiracy with the Chiefs to make them win, Jeffrey?
I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but I always heard that joke of like, you know, it's not that I don't believe in conspiracy theories, and I don't believe in all conspiracy theories, but if you don't believe in conspiracy theories, it's like, the government's in charge of millions and millions and millions of people, and you think that they don't lie to you, I'm in charge of only a few people, and I lie to those motherfuckers all the time. I forget the comedian that did that. It's hilarious.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I call my family motherfuckers, but I mean, I guess.
Well, you don't have any kids, so you can't,
Well, I have 2 dogs, and I do call them fuckers. They are little bastards.
There you go. See?
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like it's just, I don't know. It just seems like it always happens for them. But they do get another one. I'll tell you, I think this year, you know what I hear from all the talking heads is that nobody's going to fear the Kansas City Chiefs this year in the playoffs. Right? What did we hear? What did we hear last year?
I think the Chiefs are destined for the Super Bowl. I think the way that if you look at the Chiefs right now with Mahomes, and now it's like these weapons that they've added, right? With Worthy, with Hopkins, with Hollywood Brown coming back. Now you have Noah Gray and Travis Kelce as the dual tight end combo. Now you've been running Kareem Hunt, but you still have Isaiah Pacheco who just came back off of IR.
Is Hollywood Brown coming back?
He is.
For playoffs, though, right?
Yeah. Like, well, I don't know. I think the next week or two.
You better not be messing up my fantasy playoffs, dude. I do not need DeAndre Hopkins losing a target share to Hollywood Brown.
I don't think that's going to be. I think Xavier Worthy would lose a target share over D-Hop, but that would be more of that play. But yeah, if you look at just like I was saying this about, and I know we'll get to Buffalo, but it's amazing how one guy can just completely change the entire offense and how deep they are everywhere. It's really incredible.
They do have a lot of weapons, and you thought about when it started the season, it was Rashid Rice or bust, right? Then he gets hurt. They do make a couple of sneaky trades. They got the DeAndre Hopkins, as you point out, Noah Gray. There's also another tight end. They're like third stringer that has caught passes as well. Obviously, you have Travis Kelce. Pacheco comes back. You do have Xavier Worthy, which but I'm going back to the same thing again.
And they're going to have
Everybody said the same thing about the Chiefs last year, especially when they didn't have home field. They're like, oh, they're having a down year. And then they went and won back-to-back Super Bowls. If we've learned anything about anything with Andy Reid and this Kansas City Chiefs is you better take them at they can beat me anytime. They've won the most one-score games. They pretty much won all of their games by one score. That's going to be very adversary, I guess you want to say, coming playoff time because you're going to have one-score playoff games, and they've been in it numerous times. So do not count them out, man. As much as 3 in a row? 3 in a row?
It's looking like it. I mean, the Eagles.
Do we talk? Really do we at 3 in a row? At 3 in a row? Do we? I mean, how close is he to Brady?
Yeah,
I think he's a lot closer than we think. Let's talk about the. You brought up the Buffalo. We'll touch on them real quick. At home against the 49ers, who are just an absolute shambles. And let me first start off. I'm a big fan of open air stadiums and
excuse me,
snow and the weather. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. And then I look at the Buffalo Bills Stadium that night and them looking for volunteers to come shovel snow. Now, I could have been wrong. They could have been paid. I don't know. But this is a multi-billion-dollar company, and you can't figure out a way to clear your stands for the people that paid tickets to come in. Now, I know that their new $2 billion stadium does not have a dome as well. So how hard is it to put heated floors in the concrete? Right? Just put the heated floors in there. So at least when the snow hits, it melts. Case solved. If you're going to continue to have it open, there's no reason that any fan should have to come in, grab a shovel, and dig out his own seat that he's paying $400 to sit in. So if you're going to do that, you're going to have an open air stadium, and especially you're building a new one. Now, I get the old one, Soldier Field, been around for a long time. They didn't have that technology, but just put heated in the concrete. I think it's heated water. You just circulate the water. It goes through the heater just like your hot water heater, and it just when the snow hits it, it melts.
Why are they redoing Soldier, or why are they building a brand new stadium and not redoing Soldier Field?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that Warren has no idea what he's doing. They have no idea what they're doing.
Because location-wise, Soldier Field is perfect.
No, for what?
I mean, it's really right next to downtown, pretty much.
Right. But as Jeremy will attest, it is an absolute nightmare to get to. The traffic it's terrible. There's no public transportation that goes over there. None of it goes over there. It's just it's a pain in the ass to get to. Lake Michigan Drive just backs up. Lakeshore Drive just backs up to it's terrible, dude. It's absolutely terrible. There's no parking. There's hardly any tailgating
with Wrigleyville and the train dropping off right there. And at Wrigley, it's like,
well, it was built in the neighborhood, and I think that's why when they come up with the new stadium, like obviously Arlington Park, they just restructured that to keep that for their tax, so that's still in play. To the point of, yes, that stadium is perfect there as far as the nostalgia of Chicago. But as far as fan accessibility, the fan layout, it's one of the smallest stadiums in the NFL to begin with. Even when they added the spaceship seats, it's still one of the smallest stadiums in the NFL. So, of course, they're going to want something bigger. I think there's a lot of things that they can do. But as we said, just like with all the coaches, they'll screw it up at some point. They'll screw it up. Now, let's get into the big one here. The Texans go into Jacksonville and barely win. But obviously, the big play of the game is going to be this hit by, what's his name? Azeez Al-Shaair. And he takes out Trevor Lawrence in this play right here. Trevor Lawrence is scrambling, and boom, gets absolutely laid out. Okay, it's not anything you want to see. When you see that arm, that's nothing you want to see. And if you honestly think that he probably wants that, I don't think that either. Now, there's been a lot of controversy on this play, right? As far as, is it a dirty hit? I think this certain player's track record and the hits that he's done, yeah. I mean, but there's been a lot of defensive players that come out and they talk about how, when you're a defensive player, there's a dark side in you. Like, you're making plays. Now, again, this track record with this certain player does speak to it as, injury prone or, taking cheap shots. There's a lot to be said about this. I'm just going to bring it just a little bit closer. So right here, okay, right there. There's Al-Shaair. There's Trevor Lawrence. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards in between them. Both going to be running full speed.
You can tell he's beginning to slide right here.
He's not beginning to slide right here. He's thinking about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. But as a defender, you can't see it. But he also knows where that first down marker is. Right? So, boop. Oh, he didn't go. Did you see that? He just went a yard. His posture did not change. Now this guy's coming full speed.
Mm-hmm.
Boop. He starts to slide right there. But again, if I'm this guy and I'm looking here, do I see where his feet are? I don't know.
His feet are in the air.
Correct. But again, if I'm looking here, I don't see it. And this is a bang, bang play. So then, of course, boom. Now, here is where I have a problem. Here is where I have the problem. Let's see. Come on. How did we get so far ahead? Watch his launch angle. Right? This is what I have a problem with. Now, obviously, he's already going down. This guy's already starting to launch. Okay.
And this is where he's going to be marked down, by the way.
If I am...
It's where you begin your slide.
Right. So he's going to be there. But if I'm a defender and I go to tackle anybody and I launch myself horizontally... Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. If I launch myself horizontally, then that's a play. But if I launch myself downward, can't do it. Absolutely can't do it. And there it is. As he goes to the launch angle, he's already down and he is moving down. That's just something that can't happen. It's a bang, bang play. Now, I will say this before I turn it over to you, is that I watched a little snippet from Tom Brady, and I kind of feel the same way. It's like, we're doing all of these things to protect the quarterbacks, but we have the most quarterback draws, reads, runs that the NFL's ever seen. Because why? Because then you have to guard another player, and it's easily. But if you want your quarterbacks to not run out, not do things, or even make it this close, then you need to start probably taking away some of the quarterback runs. Because at that point, when he's out that far open, he's a runner. He's not a defenseless person. The problem is how close do you get? Then what we had the was it Will Levis or whoever started the slide and then like picked it back up. You got the Patrick Mahomes tiptoe down the sideline. You know, Caleb Williams tried it the other day. He tried to stop going out and got hit and didn't really like the way he got bent backwards. But again, that's on you, bro. You got to get out. I don't like the hit, obviously, but again, at the same token, it's very hard to stop some of these plays. I mean, what you see is what you see from Patrick Mahomes. Everyone's scared to touch him, so they just let him do whatever. And sometimes he pulls up and runs for an extra 30 yards. I don't know. I don't think you're ever going to get this out of the game. I just don't think so. It's just a bang bang play. I don't know. Do I agree with the hit? Absolutely not. But can I see it? Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, do we really feel like this guy was trying to end Trevor Lawrence's career?
I mean, I will defer to people who played the game of football at the highest level, and somebody like Logan Ryan, who has a little snippet about this that he recorded. And he says that, you know, there's fault with Trevor Lawrence. As a casual fan who's watching this, couldn't disagree more. I think it's a completely dirty hit. I think this player has shown over and over again that he has no regard for anybody else in the field, whether that be that montage of him choking Tom Brady when he was playing for the 49ers as he rushed in and grabbing Tom Brady by the neck, whether it be him blasting Caleb Williams going out of bounds and then stepping up and then punching, was it Roshan Johnson right in the face?
I'm not talking about his history. I agree with you on the history.
Okay.
I'm talking about this because this has happened in other situations as well. This specific play, though, like I just
he could have pulled up. He did not pull up. He went with the intent to injure. That's why he led with that thing that he wears on his left arm to Trevor Lawrence's head, and then as well projects Trevor's head into the ground as well.
Well, I think that has to do with the angles that we talked about. His angle coming down in his slide, but again, right here, he's not going down there.
So
that foot's planting, and he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards. So think about 5 yards. You have 2.5 yards in between them. So let's see where Algier. Let's see where he goes and where Trevor goes. He's meeting him.
His feet are up in the air.
He never moved.
His feet are up in the air. He hasn't launched yet.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
He's launching when his slide starts.
I feel like he tried to get too much. I really do. And I feel, to your point of maybe what he's your boy said, Logan Ryan, and I know that Teddy Bruschi said the same thing. And I know there was a couple other defenders that have played. When you try to get that close before you slide, you're making the defender make a choice, right? And I just feel like right there, he sees him standing there. Right here. He is standing there. He never moves. Let's see how much he closes to this. So he can see that there's two guys right here ready to launch him. He should go down right there, right? So how far does he go? He goes all the way to the first down marker. Now, again, I will say this. He never moved until he launched. He stays at that same, the 40, 42-yard line? He stays there the whole time. He's at the 42 right there. Never doesn't move, and then when he goes to go, then he nails him. Again, like I said, I think you're absolutely right. I think it is a very dirty hit, but on the same token, to the other, as you said, professionals that play the sport, it just seemed like he was really trying to squeeze out that last couple yards, and that put the defender in a position to where, what do I do? And then so, like, with that being said, what does he just stand there and hope he slides there? I don't know. Like right there, what does he do?
Not that.
Again, the down angle, I think that's where definitely you can't go down, right? You can't, if you're launching down, that means that the defender's going down. But again, it's a split-second play. Anyway, he is suspended for 3 games.
What's up, Justice?
Good morning, Justice. How are you? Don't ever apologize, brother. I would just love seeing you. Yeah, so the suspension definitely was his track record. He probably wouldn't have got suspended, I don't think, for that. He probably just got fined. But yeah, of course, a huge brawl ensues, as it should.
Throw him out of the league.
If there's anybody that, and D'Amico Ryan saying, he's got his back or whatever, I don't know what that's all about. I know that, again, when you play at the highest level and you play with that much intensity, especially on the defensive side, it's hard to turn it off. You are an animal. You are a monster. You are a wild animal unleashed. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to put the leash on the animal. And this is not in any way some type of fucking thing. So don't say that. But, I know Twitter world and everybody will think that you have to be able to reel it in at some point. And it's a violent game, man. It's a violent game. But again, I do believe to what everybody said that it's two-part. It's two-part. That he should not have launched. He should not have launched at a downward angle. And Trevor Lawrence should have slid sooner. Because as I just pointed out, he never moved from that 42-yard line. Trevor Lawrence kept coming to him. And when you see two defenders standing there waiting for you, it's going to be a bad position, man. It's going to be a bad position to put anybody in. But
I love that the fans peppered him with.
They were throwing shit at him as he was walking off.
As he was leaving the stadium.
A lot of fights going on this week. A lot of fights.
Oh, it's the holidays.
It is the holidays. It always brings the best out of everyone. Let's see. What is this? What does this look? Oh, slow-mo. Yeah, see, that's where I just have the downward launch.
Bro, the forearm shiver into the helmet.
I actually hit his chest. It looks like it hit his chest, and then it kind of comes up a little bit. Let's see it maybe from this angle. I'm not going to see it from this angle. There's my boy Ingram.
Definitely on his back. All right, we can move on.
The Houston Texans do win the game and continue their playoff push. The Jags they're down bad. They're just down bad.
I thought Mac Jones looked a lot better in the second half, or when he came in for Trevor than he has previously. So
is Mac Jones the future?
This week? No, Trevor's the future, but it'll be an interesting game this week as they take on the Tennessee Titans. Ooh, 3.5. I kind of like that.
At what point do the Jacksonville Jaguars hit the reset button?
They never will because they're locked into Trevor for many years. So,
yeah, you did miss the Bears, Justice. You're gonna have to watch that on the replay. I can't go through that type of emotion once again. Let's see here. So we finish up there.
Don't worry, Justice. We'll get to flag planting soon.
Oh yeah. We already did that. Eagles Ravens. Sorry, Eagles 24, Ravens 19. Is it time to panic in Baltimore? Somebody that holds Lamar Jackson and a couple of the receivers. I mean, they've just regressed, in my opinion. It seems like, obviously Lamar's putting up numbers, but it's not like it's sexy numbers. I think there's an absolute.
Second.
What's that?
1 second. I got to answer a phone call.
Okay. Justice, while he's on the phone, you got any questions about the Bears, buddy? What would you like to know from your number one and number two Bears insider?
Well, the Eagles Ravens games, by the way, I think was a great game. My question is, as a fantasy person, have we seen the end of Justin Tucker?
I would think, if it wasn't Justin Tucker, he would already be gone.
3 field goals in one game, most 7 misses this year, most he's missed ever in his career.
The amount of points that Justin Tucker has left off the board, any other kicker would have already been gone. There's no doubt about it.
Another question for you: the Eagles. Are the Eagles the team that can take out Detroit?
Absolutely.
I don't know. I just feel like
the overrated Detroit Lions.
I think they can. I think we didn't mention this, and I didn't mention this. I've said this to Jeff multiple times. You realize in the last 3 weeks, the Bears could have taken out the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions, and they fucked up on all 3 points. Okay, yeah, should have, could have, would have.
But I will also say that the Bears are a well-rounded football team.
They are.
They're just coached like dog shit, and I don't think Nick Sirianni is a coach that is a leader of a Super Bowl team, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't think he has to be. I think he's got enough dogs on that team that are like, listen, we don't need you to lead us. We're men. We can do it ourselves.
I understand that, but when it comes to certain times, you're going to need somebody to make those tough calls. I just haven't seen. I mean, I've seen some wins by the Philadelphia Eagles, but it's not something where I've been like, man, this Eagles team is just stout. Now, to Jeff's point, the Detroit Lions, right? There's everyone's Cinderella team. They put up some games where you're like, holy shit. But as we've said, who did they do it again? It was always in a dome. Do the Detroit Lions have to get out of their dome? I think that's going to be huge when it comes playoff time. They're not the same team, especially if they start going into cold weather environments. Even though they play in Detroit, I'm telling you, it's going to be a difference when they get out into the cold. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, the Eagle team to me is just kind of one that's just kind of winning games and flying under the radar. I don't know if
I think Detroit has just been so blessed by schedule as well too. I do apologize for that. Got to go pick up the child from school as he is sick, and the other one is homesick as well too. So, here we are back in the cycle.
Quite the diseases running around your house over there.
I mean, there's it's a petri dish over here.
All right, well, let's try to wrap this up fairly soon. Then,
we're fine. I got somebody else to go get them.
Okay, is it time to panic in Baltimore?
I mean, I don't know about panic.
Well, to your point, I know you just missed. Jeremy was talking about Justin Tucker.
Yeah,
and
ever since his situation that happened, I don't know if you remember against the Chiefs last year, where he went into
and tried kicking at that
tried
spot,
kicking right at that spot, and Kelsey and Mahomes moved him away, and it became a big thing. It's very interesting because since then he hasn't been the same. So they say that Patrick Mahomes put some kind of voodoo curse on him, and here we are now. I think the problem is that if you can contain Lamar from running around everywhere and really just kind of settle him into the pocket and make sure you stop the run first and foremost, I think it just turns them into a different team. And so I think there are, like I've said, glaring problems or weaknesses with the Ravens, and especially in their secondary, especially their defense this year. It's not the same Ravens defense, and if you can contain Lamar and you can score.
Define contain, because he rushed for 80 yards against the Eagles and threw for 237 with 2 touchdowns. So when you say contain, is that containment? As long as it,
yeah, somewhat.
Okay.
I mean, you
I didn't watch this game fully.
You don't want the huge Lamar games where he's just dominating, every single aspect and he's unstoppable. And also,
I guess with that, he did have one. His longest run was 39 yards. So if you take that away, he did have 7 carries for 40 yards.
And I mean, also they go 70 yards in 7 plays with a minute to go in the game and score a touchdown. It's. I mean,
we all know how I feel about the end of NFL football games.
Correct. So I mean, there's the garbage time stats. They're going to add up a little bit for Lamar as well too. When it came to that last one, I mean, if you think, take away those 70 yards, let's say, on that last drive, those numbers look a little bit different as well.
And I cannot believe that Deontay Johnson went to this Ravens team and as basically a bench rider.
Yeah, he's just
for the life of me, I cannot figure out what the hell is going on with him. Like, what did you trade for him for? I don't know. Like you said, maybe he's just a big cancer. I don't know. Well, speaking of somebody that's not a cancer, as we wrap up our NFL, the Browns go to the Bronco, and the gift that keeps on giving, Mr. Lord and Savior Jameis Winston.
My Lord and Savior Jameis Winston, baby.
Bro, I'll tell you, obviously he's a Florida State guy, so I'm not, huge on him. But my goodness, just when you get to the NFL, I kind of put that stuff aside a little bit, right? Because, you got Florida State players playing for the Bears, all this, and I kind of put that aside. Obviously, Baker has turned from, his Oklahoma days. And I'll tell you what, Jameis Winston is the gift that the Lord keeps on giving us. Just listening to his interviews, man, I don't care what you say. That man's heart is full of absolute love and love for his Lord and Savior. Man, he loves to tell you about it. Just when he was at his post-game, his pre-game interviews, I just can't believe the Lord has let me play in this cold weather when he played at the snowball game. And then the absolute golden ticket that he gives us afterwards. Please, Lord, save me from these pick sixes.
Yeah, listen, almost 3. If Jerry Jeudy doesn't become determined at the very end of that, that they're not going to have another pick 6, and he runs the guy all the way down at like the 20-yard line or whatever it was.
I'd like to say this: if Josh Allen gets credit for a passing touchdown and a receiving touchdown, the Jameis Winston should get credit for the pick 6s.
Dude, I was so hot about that. I couldn't believe that shit. I don't understand the scoring with that, by the way. I don't understand how he throws the
Because
ball to him.
technically it's still a passing touchdown because it got lateral. It's not going to be a rushing touchdown. So he threw the initial pass. They lateraled it to him. So then therefore he gets the throwing and the rushing touch and the receiving touchdown. It's nuts. It's nuts.
So-
It'd be no
so-
different if he tipped. Well, no, that'd be the same.
So if I am a quarterback and I throw
Actually, it would be a tip.
a 5-yard out, let's
Mhm.
say to whoever,
Amari Cooper.
and there's 15 laterals on the play and we score a touchdown.
Yep.
I get a 95-yard passing touchdown.
Yep. It's no different than when you run a screen from the 1 yard line and the guy catches it, in the end zone, runs it all the way down. It's 99 yards, 99-yard touchdown.
What if you throw an interception, right? And then
Then they
there's a-
fumble and
there's
you
a
receive the
fumble,
ball and they
you
run it
re-
back
you-
for a
You
touchdown.
recover it and go for a touchdown.
That is definitely one for the stat nerds. I like where you're heading. Just back on the Browns here, I'll tell you, it looks like the Jameis Winston experience is probably going to be over at the end of this year. I think we were all kind of rooting for him.
I hope not. I think he's played incredible.
He has, but he's I think it's just the same glaring things that have happened throughout his career that's going to continue to hold him down. You can't turn the ball over in the NFL, and you certainly can't throw 2 pick sixes in one game. And I mean, how many interceptions did he have total in the game?
3.
I mean, yeah. So three interceptions. I mean, almost 500 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns. I mean, you just 88.1. You just
Why?
can't. You just can't. Why what?
Why can this not work?
Because he's a turnover machine. If he could stop his turnovers,
So is Peyton
even-
Manning.
not even at the beginning of his career, not at the end.
Well, not when he was playing for the Broncos. But I mean, up until then, he still turned the ball over. Brett Favre turned the ball over his entire career.
Okay, and what happened to Brett Favre? He went to the Jets. He went to the Vikings.
We still consider
like,
Brett Favre a
be
Hall of
gone.
Famer. We allowed Brett Favre to go ahead and air it out and throw it all over the field.
Be
Listen,
gone.
I think it's incredible when you look at the numbers of Jameis or even Joe Flacco comparatively to Deshaun Watson. Like Stefanski is such a good coach when he actually gets somebody who can push the ball down the field and open things up. Imagine if Jameis still had Amari Cooper. He's out here making Elijah Moore and David Njoku look amazing. Jerry Judy's having a renaissance right now. He might win people fantasy football championships. If you have
we
him on
all
your
know
roster.
that Jameis Winston was a gunslinger. Nobody's ever doubted that. He's a
Yeah,
gunslinger. He's going to win you games. He's going to lose you games. It's just can he corral it? To your point, Deshaun Watson will never play for the Cleveland Browns again. He probably will never play in the NFL again.
So then, if you're the Browns, why not stick with Jameis?
I don't know. I just because he turns the ball over too much.
You're saying it's 10 years over. I think he's playing himself into a contract somewhere.
Well, that team's going to be pretty desperate. Where do you think he would go? Where does Jameis Winston start in the NFL for 32 teams? Where does he start and where does he play?
I think he's perfect in Cleveland.
Okay.
I think you can get
We'll
him on
see.
a discount while you pay Deshaun. You're still gonna have to pay Deshaun. no
Deshaun's
matter
done,
what.
dude. I tell you, he will never put on a Browns uniform again.
What I'm saying is the way that Jameis has corralled that team, the way that he's gotten everybody behind him, the leadership that he's shown. Listen, did he have?
Is the team behind him?
Yeah, absolutely.
How
I think
so?
they are.
What have you seen?
What have I seen?
Yeah,
I see them play their ass off when they have no shot at winning anything. I see the way that he interacts with his teammates on the sideline. I see the amount of give in that he has in pregame speeches. Absolutely, I think they bought it.
Do you think that they find him a little goofy?
I think everybody finds Jameis a little goofy.
What
does that have to do with anything?
I'm rooting for him, dude. Like you act like I'm a Jameis hater. I when he came into the I was like, hey man, another shot. Let's try to revive their career. We'll see. Still got a lot of ball left. You never know. We'll see what happens.
You're writing them off already, so
I am writing him off. I
funny,
just think he
I was
just can't turn the ball over. If he doesn't turn the ball over, bro, you're absolutely right. I think he is, but I think he's turned the ball over the most of any quarterback since the time that he suited back up.
I was
Could be wrong.
in a fantasy league, and I had Jerry Judy and Denver's defense. and I was going against Elijah Moore and David Njoku. And let's just say that my combo was pretty good. Couldn't have gone much better.
Didn't you leave one on the bench somewhere, Jerry Jeudy?
I left Jerry Jeudy on the bench in our big league, which doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Even though I tell TJ that it does, just to piss him off.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that.
Congratulations on making the playoffs, by the way.
I'm not in yet.
I believe you are.
No, I haven't clinched anything yet. It's really weird, which I don't see how with my point total. Like I would literally have to score 0 points and lose. But yeah, no, there's a 1% chance that I don't make the playoffs.
There's a 1% chance that I do. So good luck.
There we go. Together we're 100%, buddy. Just the way it should be. Well, let's move on to some controversial stuff going on in college football. Week 14, it was rivalry week, and it did not disappoint. There are few things better in college football than this week, and it is absolutely wonderful. Let's get into it first with a couple lesser knowns, and then we're going to get into Jeffrey and Tyson's Florida State, even though Jeff denies the game was even played. Georgia Tech 42, Georgia 44, 8 overtimes. I turned it off. Georgia has no business winning this game, but they did, and it is what it is. I think that we're going to get into the college playoffs here in a second and the teams, but this Georgia team has not proven to be that they are anything similar of the past Georgia teams of the past. And any team in the college football that is just, they don't have a weakness. They can't be beat. Don't see it at all this year. What a good game there. I don't know if you watched that one at all.
Yeah, I got off work late and saw that it was tied and watched 8 overtimes. There was I feel bad for Georgia Tech. There was a couple plays there. There was a couple penalties that were thrown, calls that were made that were very questionable. Even the fumble that they get and they run back and end up scoring the touchdown. It was targeting. I mean, it's clear as day targeting. Guys leading with the crown of his helmet, puts helmet to helmet. Ball ends up fumbling, and that's the way that the cookie crumbles and they go to OT. And then can we change this stupid ass college rule of alternating 2-point conversions? I think it's terrible. I don't know about you, but
I thought
cool
that after
with
the fourth overtime that you had to if you scored, you had to go for 2.
No. So after the third overtime, I believe, Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong. After the third OT, you alternate 2-point conversions. So you literally line up at the 2-yard line and you run a 2-point conversion. Then you go down to the other end of the field. They line up at the 2-yard, go over the 2-point. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I'd rather see them just line up at the 20.
Exactly. Just continue to play. Why are
but I do understand though, so let's just say that we do that, they line up to 20 and they keep scoring touchdowns. Then yes, after the third overtime or whatever, then you have to go for 2 after you scored a touchdown. I agree with that because you don't want the games to go on forever.
I don't have a problem with that. What I'm saying is that they're just alternating 2-point conversions. There's no plays going. It's one play.
It's one play.
It's one play, and then you go down the other end. They have one play. You go down, and it's just dude. And the amount of time that it's taking.
That's a lot of walking back and forth.
Too. It's crazy. It's what are we doing here? So
at least they should do them both from one side. But
I know their
idea
is to have it like a penalty shootout, but it doesn't work that way. So,
well, another great game was in Ohio State. Michigan goes into Ohio State on obviously a huge down year for Michigan, coming off the national championship. A lot of rebuilding going on, and I'll say it: 13-10. It doesn't matter. They embarrassed Ohio State. The number 2 Ohio State Bulldogs, the mighty Ohio State gets beat by Michigan again. Is that 4 years in a row?
Yes.
I know Ryan Day is 1-4, but I don't know if it was 4 in a row or not.
Yes.
But my goodness, is this Ryan Day's worst loss of his Ohio State tenure?
Yes. Can I also say this?
Yes, absolutely.
This is what pisses me off about not letting Florida State in the college football playoff last year.
We're still on this?
We are. Because the argument is that they didn't have a quarterback, yada, yada, yada. They couldn't compete. You had one of the best defenses in all of NCAA last year, and at least give us a shot to go out and play. Because what happens is you have a team like this, Michigan. Michigan has no quarterback. Davis Warrant went 9 of 16 on the day for 62 yards and 2 picks. And what happened? They won 13-10 because they were a better football team. So for me, it continues to just eat at my soul because I feel like we weren't given a shot.
And then they proceed to plant the flag in the middle of Ohio State's football field. And then that does not go over well. This actually lasted. No, this must have been after. They did it again? That can't be the initial plant.
I believe it is.
Oh, here they go. Yeah, okay.
Maybe not.
I think that must have been a secondary plant.
No.
Wow, they did it again?
Is that this year? That's not this year, I don't think,
I
maybe.
don't know. Did they do it the year before as well? Oh, here, let's do this. I think this one might be it. Yeah, this is it. And here they go. All right, so this sparked off huge because this wasn't the only game that did it, by the way. There was numerous, I think there was 3 or 4 that they did this, including myself and Jeffries. But look at this guy right here. Dude, straight tackle. There's guys throwing punches. You know, there's a guy over here somewhere. If you'll see him, he has a cop. And, you know, he's telling the cop, don't fucking touch me, boy. And I'm just like, dude, like when you step on a field, it's not the rule of law is gone in the United States. It's not, hey, we're entering a battlefield. All hell's it's all good. No, it's not. Maybe was it that guy? I can't remember which one it was. One of them. They end up using pepper spray to break up this fight. Now, this guy, after it all, grabs the flag and he's going to try to run back. He's up here at the top. He's going to come to the right and try to run back through the Ohio State players. He deserves to get his clock clean. Somebody should have just teed off on him. Yeah, there's one push. Absolutely. What are you doing, bro?
I think he doesn't even have a helmet on either.
Rip that flag.
Not wise thing. Like, let's definitely put our helmet on if we're going to.
It's just, they're idiots. So here's my take on this, and then I'm going to let you go. I know, I get it, right? Rivalry. You want to get in there. You want to do your thing. You want to prove that you're the better team. You just did that on the field. Back in the day, this was I'm assuming was a common thing, right? Ha ha ha. You know, it's a battlefield. Just what we talked about. When the United States, you know, beat the Confederate Army, they flew their flag at the end of it, right? They took their land and they flew. We're not giving up land here, guys. In second mode, these are paid players now. These are not kids that are out there doing these are paid players. And especially on the Ohio State side, they're paid well. This shit needs to get out of the sport. 100%. There's no business for this whatsoever. There's no business. And I know we're going to talk about cutting up fields, tearing down goalposts, you know, taking flags, you know, when they have like there's some of it. And maybe this is what needs to happen. You know, like the Minnesota and, is it Purdue, Jeremy, or whoever, they have the axe, right? They have a trophy that if you win the game, you get to run around the field and be like, yeah, bitches, this is ours this year. Maybe that's what needs to happen at these games. I don't know. But this shit needs to stop. I mean, give me a break. Like I said, you got people punching. There's bloody coaches. I do believe there was an officer that got punched and bleeding. Like, this is not football, man. And it's time. You're now paid. You're grown men now, right? You're not little kids out there playing for the love of the sport. You're getting paid. It's time to start acting professional because as everyone that said it, and I know that you said that you liked it, whatever, and I'm going to let you go yours. But, you know, like I almost commented, I think it was Dakota. You remember Dakota from Boathouse?
Yeah.
Eagles fan? He's like, yeah, plant that flag. And to me, I was like, okay, what's going to happen the first time the Dallas Cowboys run out and plant a flag in the middle of the Eagles field? It's going to be the same shit. So therefore, in my opinion, it needs to go away. If they do it, if they act up as a fool, again, they're paid players, $10,000 fines coming. Boom, boom, boom. I guarantee it. It'll stop real quick.
Yeah, first of all, Minnesota, Wisconsin is Paul Bunyan's axe. There are other places that have other trophies and different things like that that are associated with the rivalry and with the game. My thoughts are I don't know when the whole like disrespect thing started to become in and popular. When I originally said that, I didn't see them. I saw the guy walking around with the flag. I never saw them go and plant the flag in the middle of the field there. That I'm not okay with. I think there's enough of your fans that are going to come down as soon as the game is over into the very front row, into a section for you to go over and for you guys to celebrate. Sing your college song, sing your fight song together. Celebrate with those people who are there to support you. Don't try to go into the middle of the field to then start shit with somebody. Dakota saying plant that flag. I know his son is very involved in sports and different stuff like that. And I know that if it was him and he was on the other side of that, he might feel a little bit differently, I just, to me, there's just no place for it. I know Billy Napier came out and was very strong and opinionated about the situation that happened in Florida State, Florida, saying there will be disciplinary action that's going to be taken and stuff like that. And I think that that coaches should lead from the front with that. Not only coaches, but also, you're correct, institutions and universities and stuff like that should lead with that as well too. But I have no problem with you waving your flag around the stadium, running around the stadium
on your side.
You can run around the entire stadium with your flag.
Well, you're not going to run through the other team. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so like Michigan guy, right? So they had a side, but all of the Ohio State players were there. You don't run through the players. I mean, it's just not going to happen, bro. It's just not. I agree with the point. I think as somebody else said, after the initial, Ryan Day should have just got his players off the field. And again, I don't think that that's right either. Because you know what? There might be some players on the other team that actually are cordial with each other, that maybe, hey, good game, as sportsmanship should happen. It's not easy, right? It's not easy to go look your rival in the face and say, congratulations on stomping our ass. But that's what good sports is. And that's what's always pissed me off about the NBA, how they don't do handshakes at the end of the series. The only one that still does it is the NHL. And that, to me, just sets a bad precedent. There's no more good sportsmanship in these types of examples anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen, I couldn't agree more. And also, you did see like small clusters while this brawl melee is going down. You see these little clusters of players on a knee praying together, and whatever. I don't think everybody should have to clear the field. I think that we should all be able to check our emotions enough to,
That's hard, bro. I mean, you played sports. You played at a level. It's hard, especially when somebody rubs it in your face. It's hard to hold that back.
There's no reason. What I'm saying is that we can check our emotions if somebody is celebrating with their team, with their fan base, with whatever. If you want to run your flag around the field, not into the middle, not stomp on somebody's logo.
You're not going to plant your flag. You're not going to
plant your flag in the middle. Tyson, how long have we been watching the Florida State for? Right. And even Miami or in Florida State, or Miami in Florida, whatever it is. When you see there be a fight or a problem, it's when guys go to midfield.
Of course.
Every single time.
It's all about disrespect and respect.
Marquand Manuel back in the day with the handkerchief or whatever on his head that he used to wear under his Gator helmet. And I remember him going to midfield and there being a huge brawl between him and like Darnell Dockett. And like, I just remember like back in the day, and it's still the same thing. Just don't go to my logo and disrespect it. That's all we're asking.
Correct. And to your point, here is the Florida State, as we're going to get into. Florida did take down Florida State 31, I think, to 11. And honestly, as I said in the even though it was 14-0 at halftime, and I was not comfortable whatsoever, Florida State just just fumble after fumble after fumble. There's no way they could recover it. I think that they actually had a great opportunity to still win this game. And to your point, this heated rivalry, what happened and what's going to take place afterwards, just gave Florida State the fuel that they needed. However, they have lost a shit ton of recruits, so who knows what kind of, obviously the transfer portal. Norvell said he's never going to allow this to happen again. But, here's this one. And I do have a few issues with everything about this.
Well, this was all coordinated, right? This is all coordinated. Like there's literally 20 dudes who are all, as soon as the game was over, the players knew it. They knew what had happened already earlier in the day. This guy didn't know. Which
right. So he's going. So they plant the flag again. Dumb.
And also Gums played his tail off. he played with such heart and passion the entire game and really played his butt off. And then it just sucks to see, this happen afterwards, because I thought he played an incredible.
And then you have the video guy, just like, get out of here. So okay, so this happens. They plant the flag, whatever, blah blah blah. I hope they show the other side. Because eventually Billy Napier comes in the middle of this. See right there. There's Billy Napier right there. There's Billy Badass Mike Norvell, who refused to shake Billy Napier's hand.
He did shake Billy Napier's hand.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, he did not.
Hold the video. He shakes his hand. They walk up to each other. To each other.
Norvell
starts pointing at what's going on, and
They
then he turns and shakes Billy's hand, and then turns and walks off.
No, he ran towards the flag. Let's try to find Jeremy. Can you try to find me the clip?
Absolutely. I'm telling you right now, he shakes his hand. He has the moment where he points to what's going on, and then he turns, grabs Billy's hand, and then turns and runs back the other way to go grab the flag.
So there's Billy trying to get his players off to the sidelines. Get back. Everybody calm down.
That whole thing was.
I don't know what this guy over here is pushing down this guy. That's classless.
You're not sharing anymore, so we're not.
Oh, sorry. What happened there?
You're giving your own.
Just talking to myself.
Yeah.
Why? Let's go up here. Boop. Okay. So what I was saying is, like, over here, this guy gets tackled somehow. Right there. See him all like standing around and like, get up, bitch. Like, there's no place for that crap, man. No place. Absolutely classless by Florida. And honestly, I don't even know. You're planting the flag here. You won by 20 against a Florida State team that has 2 wins. You should have won by 50.
It's the worst team in Florida State history.
Exactly. Who had 5 turnovers in the game, and you still only won by 20. So I don't.
Eight fumbles.
There's nothing in there that to me that's like, oh my god, I need
5 recovered. I do want you to see the interaction between Billy Napier and Mike Norvell, because he does end up shaking his hand.
Before he gets the flag?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this is only going to show this. So let me see here.
Because the clip is they come together, right? Billy puts out his hand. Norvell points to what's going on and then turns back and shakes Billy's hand and then walks off.
Oh, look at this. Mike Norvell refuses to shake hand with Billy Napier. Right here. Okay.
Play it.
Let me get it. Everything nice and beautiful for everyone. All right.
Oh, this is edited. Okay.
This is not edited.
It is edited. Go ahead. Play
it. The top. You have the top video and the bottom video. It's clipped together. So he comes up. Billy tries to shake his hand. Norvell points. Points again.
And then goes right
Billy
there
has
to shake his hand. He shakes his hand. What are you talking about?
Well, you can't see it. Then he also shoos him out. He's like, get out of here. Okay, so you can't see it, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he went back and shook his hand.
Yeah, he went back and he shook his hand.
But the fact is this.
Like,
yeah, he's pointed to the flag, which Napier went and got corrected. Right, he got his team off the field
for sure.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like I said.
I gave Billy all the credit for it, and even after the game, the way that he now let's see if there's any punishment in the bowl game for it.
There won't be.
I wouldn't carry this over to next year at all.
There's no way it can, because if it does, you already set the precedence, and Ohio State's still in the playoffs. There's no way those people are getting suspended for the playoffs.
No, not about that. I'm talking about Billy's punishment toward players. Because I was talking to my boy James Leake yesterday, who's a diehard Gator fan as well too, and we were talking about what punishment Billy goes with. And I said, listen, if you do a half for a bowl game or whatever, sure, that's fine. And then he's like, well, you're not going to carry it over to next year, because I guarantee you we open up with Miami or somebody like that, and like you guys open up with like
there's nothing
Liberty
that's going to happen. If you also
not even Liberty, it's some FBS school.
If you also looked at it while he's shooting the players off, he's also laughing. right?
For
So
sure.
yes, he might have had that stern in the press conference because that's the right media thing to do. But in the
For
back
sure.
room, he's like, plant that fucking flag. You
Yeah.
you know that.
Could be. And listen,
But
I'll
hopefully,
say this: I understand. I've never seen Florida State plant the flag at UF. From my knowledge, I've
no, you
never
guys
seen
just
them
ran around with a gator head or
take a
something,
flag
right?
out. Well, the gator head it gets brought out every single, just like if you were to have listen, Shannon Sharp's comments, he can get slapped up if I ever see him again too, talking about how if he was a gator player, he would
You
have
ain't
gotten on.
slapping Shannon
he
Sharp
would've-
for nothing.
No problem doing it. I might get my ass beat, but I will get the first lick in. But him saying that he's gonna hop on top of Chief Osceola and ride around with a spear in his hand.
Well, that's
after the
another
game.
thing. It's like we can't disrespect you guys because if we do, like, what are we doing? We're gonna, we gotta chop an Indian head off.
You did disrespect us after they cleared the field. You guys went back to the Florida State end zone and started basically
Digging their
scraping.
claw,
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing?
I don't agree
here?
with any of that. You're absolutely right. I don't agree with any of that.
And then everybody's like, "Oh, it's the same thing because you cut a piece of sod out." It's like Florida State has a tradition where if they're underdogs on the road against a team, no matter who it is, no matter if it's Clemson, no matter if it's it could be Duke next year, at this rate, or it could be UF. They take a piece and they have a sod cemetery that they celebrate their wins.
So
you can think whatever it is, but that's just something that they do, and it's monitored by the school and by the grounds crew from the school that they're doing it to.
Okay, well, if I was on the Florida, you're not taking a chunk of my field, bro. Okay, you won the game. Congratulations, well fought. Go do your celebrations. You said run around with your. You're not taking a chunk of my field, but apparently they do. So we'll see. The rest of the college football
every time. So I mean, it is what it is.
Just don't let them win, I guess. Or if you're going to take a thing in my flag, then yeah, I'm going to plant my flag. Hey. This is our turf now. What's that meme that I see that it's like college football and whoever wins gets to take over that area? Have you seen that one? I don't know if it's Barstool or Bleacher Nation, but they have like when college football play, if they beat the team that has it, then they take over the whole territory. It's pretty funny, but I guess that's it. But rounding out the rest of college football here, South Carolina does knock off Clemson and puts their playoff hopes in jeopardy. I do, but it's Clemson and SMU. Which I think we all agree that SMU is probably going to win that game.
It's so sad because, like, Clemson, if Clemson wins, Clemson's in the playoff because they win the ACC. And if SMU loses, SMU is out of the playoff. That's what the head of the college football playoff said last night. And Alabama's in.
Well, Alabama, we're going to get to that in a second. So South Carolina does Miami gets knocked out by Syracuse, which they're out. Texas does handle Texas A&M barely. Before we get into this real quick, I just want to touch on this Heisman real quick. And obviously Travis Hunter's like minus 6,000. I think to your point, it's an absolutely egregious what they're doing to that kid at Boise State. Just putting up just insane numbers. And one of the most ones that I think that it pays to have a media team around you. And let's be honest, Deion Sanders is the media team behind Travis Hunter. He is in front of the news conference every single day, where you don't see that from Boise State. You don't see that from the Boise State coach. They're not hyping their guy up. They're just letting him do his thing. And also they pulled him. I think they were up 28-7 or something. They pulled him. Meanwhile, you have Travis Hunter out there catching touchdown passes up 48-0. And then at the end of the game, I don't know if it was the first time, Deion Sanders came out and said, Travis Hunter did enough today to secure the Heisman. So you can't tell me that they're not playing for individual awards. Now, I don't know how you don't, right? But on the same token, you're up 48-0 or whatever it was, and you're still trying to pad your stats against it. Like, come on.
Yeah, it is what it is. And there was, I don't know if you saw the, I forget who, I think it was Maryland and Penn State played a game, and they had this huge thing that happened where big argument afterwards, but same thing, but kind of about running up and padding stats as well too. I just think it's sad that, like, you're gonna have
is it a popularity contest or is it a performance contest?
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna bet Ashton Jeanty probably right now as soon as we get off here. It's just out of principle and purpose. Well, not all ballots have been sent in yet, I believe.
Pretty much everybody has already said that. I mean, you're right though. It could be, but could you imagine Deion Sanders if he doesn't win? I can't wait for all the conspiracies. So let's talk a little bit real quick as we wrap it up. This is the current college playoff scenario. Now, Ohio State plays Oregon, correct?
No.
For the Big
Penn
Ten
State.
championship?
Penn State plays Oregon because Ohio State lost.
So Penn State plays Oregon.
Yeah, they're both
Okay.
going to be in no matter what.
Really? So if Penn State loses to Oregon, they're going to stay in,
Yes.
and Ohio State will stay in as well.
Yes.
To me, you didn't play for your college. You didn't play for your championship. You just lost to Michigan, an unranked team. If Penn State loses to Oregon, I think Ohio State should be bumped out, and Penn State takes that spot. Now, that's just me.
Who
Now,
else would go in instead of Ohio State?
Well, you got Miami sitting at 12. They're not playing in their ACC. They're not playing their championship as well. So I guess I just kind of threw that own argument out as well. I'll say this I beat the horse dead. Notre Dame has no business being in any playoffs with their schedule and no conference affiliation, not having to play in any type of championship. To me, that's just fucking ludicrous. It's just ludicrous. And there is a reason why they stay independent, and it's simply for this. You're telling me if Notre Dame played, let's just say Notre Dame played Penn State in a championship,
So
and
let me
they
ask you
lose.
real quick, right? Because you said Ohio State just lost their bitter rival. They're not playing for the conference championship.
They had two losses, right?
Indiana, yeah, they lost to Oregon and now Michigan. Indiana played Ohio State. It's the only ranked team that they played all year. They got drubbed by Ohio State.
I don't think they belong either.
So would Indiana get pushed out?
I think so. And
Who
there's
you putting
also
in? Then you put Miami in.
Well, there's also something to be said if SMU does lose to Clemson and Clemson goes in, that Clemson and SMU get in, and Clemson takes the 12th spot or the 11th spot. To me, Alabama has no business being in there. Alabama with 3 losses. Okay, now I will say this: Alabama's strength of schedule and who they play this far, absolutely. But you lost to Vanderbilt and you got blown out by Oklahoma. I don't care what your other wins are. You got blown out, but then you can go the same token. You go Indiana. How many top 10 wins do they have? 0. So we talked about this expanding. My dad's like, why don't they just make it 64 teams like basketball, and then there'll be nothing to talk about. You get more football. I said, well, I don't think there's enough weeks in the year because it's not like you can play 2 to 3 football games in a week. I don't know how this is going to work out. So for let's see here. Do we have
Well, it's going to work out because Miami's going to end up getting left out. And it's funny. And it's not funny, actually. But I've been telling my Miami fans, I'm like, listen, there's a reason that ESPN runs the college football playoff. There's a reason that ESPN and the SEC have the largest media rights deal. And there's a reason that SEC teams continue. Like, the whole ranked argument is crazy to me, right? Because there's an obvious bias that the SEC is really, really good at football, right? And
I don't think it's
most
a bias.
okay.
Well, I mean, just look at the past 12 champions. How many times has the SEC won?
Probably a few.
Right. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
You also don't think. I mean, listen, the top 4 has also been dominated. You have 50% chance to win most years if you have a 4-team playoff and 2 of those teams are from the SEC, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand what the public's saying, especially if you're not an SEC team or fan. Is that
like my argument is that all these ranked wins are against the SEC, right? And when do we count ranked wins? Like, do we count Georgia Tech beating number 10 Florida State at the beginning of the year as a ranked win for Georgia Tech? Or do we only count
last show?
Or do we only count what?
Well, we all know that
the
the second half games definitely way more than the first half. I mean, we all know that. You can lose in the first 4 weeks and recover. You lose in the last 3 weeks, you're pretty much fucked. Like, for whatever reason, for whatever reason, the end games are just weighed more heavily because, and this is one thing I don't like about the college playoffs, is I heard it before, and I can't remember who the girl is that's now the expert on the college football that came in this year.
Heather Dinich. She's been there for multiple years.
Well, I've never seen her, so maybe she's just getting more airtime this year.
Dude,
so it's fine. But
hated her since 2013.
She keeps talking about the eye test.
Yes.
Right. And the eye test is what screwed you guys last year. There should be no eye test. There should be a ranking system based on, as your point, strength of schedule, quality wins, non-quality losses, things of that nature. We need to take the human element out of it. It needs to be a straightforward criteria. And until it does, to your point, there probably is always going to be a bias because, as she said, the eye test. There's no freaking eye test. Okay. It's just, do you win or not? End of story. With that being said, that would have also had Florida State in the playoffs last year. They won. They didn't lose. They should have been in, but it was a 14 playoff.
I would just prefer to have the BCS formula basically, and then have the BCS formula rank everybody 1 through 12 with you get your automatic bids for being conference champion, but everybody else is just ranked.
I don't like that either. I don't like the automatic bids because as you're gonna see right here. So like Clemson. Right. So Clemson has not had a good year.
Clemson should have beat South Carolina. They got super unlucky at the end of the game.
It doesn't matter. They didn't. There's the eye test. There's your eye test that you want. It doesn't matter. They lost. Doesn't matter if they got a bad break. But you're going to have somebody in there like Boise State. Okay, let's just say this. Boise State is going to get an automatic bid, automatic first round bye. Who are they going to be favored to beat? Not very many people. And I think that's where it comes in, and especially with the Alabamas and what Nick Saban's argument is. And again, I don't care if you're favored to win every game. You didn't do enough to get there. And you lost to Vanderbilt. That's it right there. You lost to Vanderbilt. There's no way to recover from that. I don't care if you beat every top 10 team. But then on the same token, when you look at everybody else's pedigree, Indiana, and Arizona State, like who's Arizona State going to be favored again, or to beat? It's, I think we're on the same page. I don't know what the scenario is. We said this before when it went from 4 to whatever, that we knew that there was going to be more issues. And guess what? There's more issues. It never ends. But I think this year, the biggest issue is straight with the SEC. And I completely agree with some of them. It's like, so next year, do we just automatically put Alabama in no matter what? Because that's what it feels like. But they are also talking about, if Clemson does beat SMU, that there is a possibility that they get bumped out. We'll see. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, right? SEC has won 6 out of the last 10 championships. It's not bad. But again, to Jeff's point, this has been a down year for the SEC. And anybody that says that it's not a down year, it's still very tough to play. Very tough to play. But on the same token, like Ohio State going to play Maryland. And to your point, Jeff, is that really a tough schedule versus, Alabama going to play Ole Miss or, Texas A&M in Aggie Stadium? Or, I've seen the arguments as well as Texas played in the Big 12 for whatever, 15 years. They won the conference championships twice. They go to the SEC and now they're playing for the conference championship. So tough league. Well, you also didn't get the SEC money when it came to recruiting with Texas until you came there as well. And that was before NIL, when you could openly pay for players. And let's be honest, the oil money has the deep pockets.
Well, there's going to be a salary cap that's going to be put on this NIL stuff coming very soon. You've seen Florida State as well, who actually made a couple different hires this week as well for coordinators, which I really love both, actually.
Gus Malzahn?
I do like Gus as an OC. I think he knows how to recruit. I think he knows the area of the Southeast. Being from Auburn as well as being at UCF, he knows the state of Florida. He already has relationships there. He knows Alabama. He knows Georgia. I think putting him in that role and where him and Norvell come from the same kind of thought process, I think is really good. And then they got the defensive coordinator from Nebraska, which I didn't think was possible, considering how lame duck Mike looks right now. I didn't think a name like White would come out and decide to hop on. It's very interesting. He runs a 3-3-5 defense, which 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 DBs, which is very confusing for most offenses. The reason being is that you can drop 8 really easily. You can bring pressure from everywhere. So it'll be really interesting to see with the athletes that Florida State has, how they're able to translate that, because Florida State has been incredibly predictable on defense for the past few years.
I'll tell you, next year is going to be really tough for you guys. I really do. I think it's going to be tough to try to get to rebuild that. Obviously, you lost some of your recruits, some to Florida, some to others. I think it's going to be tough for you guys just to get that name back, right?
I think it's going to be very easy to bounce back.
That's where we differ, I guess. But
the schedule works out very nicely for you. I think 7 or 8 wins is definitely
Yeah,
within
but
the realm of possibility.
outside of money, let me ask you this question: like, if I was a kid, or you were a father, and your kid had open recruitment, what would possess you to want to go to Florida State after what you saw this year?
What do you mean?
What would if you had offers from let's keep it in state, Florida, Miami,
Yeah.
UCF? What must say? I want to go to Florida State. After this year.
Miami had their best team in how many years, and they didn't even make the ACC championship game.
Right.
Mario hasn't proved that he can develop or do anything with the people that he has on the team. That's been the past few years. He wasn't very good at Oregon as well, too. When it comes to Florida, congratulations. You guys had a winning year this year. Okay. You
Easy.
lost to
Easy.
FSU the past how many years in a row? FSU had a down year this year,
2.
for sure. But they
there's
also
a down year, and then
it's
there's a
not
crushing year.
You didn't blow the doors off of Florida State, and this is the worst Florida State team we've seen ever in the history of college. Also,
you're taking this too personally.
I'm not. You're asking me my question. I'm going to answer the question. Can we also say this? Let's look at Florida State's schedule. Let's actually look at it and break it down for how it was. Okay. Here, let me go ahead and pull it up real quick, if I may. 1 second here. Let me go back. Let me find.
He's so excited. I love it.
Yeah, because when you're
taking this personal.
I'm not taking it personal.
You really are.
How do I get there? I don't even know.
What are you trying to bring up? Florida State schedule this year?
Yes, just bring up their schedule this year. And this is part of my argument of why I just don't think the schedule did them any favors or worked out for them at all. Right. Obviously, you start the year off with Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is.
It goes this way. So Georgia Tech,
okay. All right,
then
so
Boston College.
Georgia Tech, who ended up should have beat Georgia, just took them to 8 overtimes and barely lost. All right. Boston College, we'll give that as a bad loss. Okay. Memphis is 9-2. Okay. Memphis is a good football team this year, playing very well. After Memphis, who do we play?
You won against Cal.
We beat Cal. Cal, who I think had a winning record this year, if I'm not mistaken. And then you play SMU. SMU, who's probably going to be in the college football playoff, playing Clemson, who could have been in the college football playoff. Pretty good team, right? Then you play Duke. Duke ended up being 8-3, 9-3 this year under Manny Diaz. Completely changed the program around. Great. Okay. Then you move on. You play Miami. Miami, obviously,
who you just dumped on Cristobal and his players.
Well, I think Cam Ward is generational. I think they have an incredible quarterback there, but what are they going to be next year? Are they going to go right back to what they were before? That remains yet to be seen. And also, you didn't even get blown out that bad. There was a touchdown at the very end by both teams that made it look a lot worse than what it was. UNC, you laid an egg there. Terrible game. Notre Dame in the college football playoff. Okay, Charleston Southern, you win, and then you play a Florida team that's at its peak. Correct? Like you guys were peaking right now at the end of the year.
I would say they definitely are on the up.
Come on. I
wouldn't say peaking. I mean, they're definitely finding their groove. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it.
I mean, bro,
they're on an extreme high strength.
Multiple ranked teams in a row, and you have all the momentum in the world and recruiting and everything like that, and you're going into Tallahassee. What do you mean? Like that's part of it.
That's what I mean. But
I'm just saying,
with all of that momentum going into Florida State, what did I tell you? I don't take anything for granted when going into that stadium because those guys, that's all of their playing. That was their Super Bowl to knock off Florida because let's be honest, they did have a down year and these players were way, way more hyped. I think, we talk about letdown games all the time. They just beat LSU, knocked them out of the playoffs. They just beat Ole Miss, knocked them out of the playoffs. And then they went into a team that they should have beat handedly and they didn't. And I think that was the whole point of what I was saying is like, I don't expect them to go in and blow the doors off Florida State because I don't feel that they respect Florida State. And I think that was a big issue.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is that when you look back at the schedule and the way that things played out and the disappointment that Florida State went through this year, I think they had 2 bad losses. One of those was North Carolina, right? And the other one was Boston College. Those are 2 games that you should have won that you didn't win. Everything else, it's like these teams are in the college football playoff talk. I mean, I find most of them.
Some of them. Let me go back to this. All right, so where am I at? We're starting here. Georgia Tech not in the college football playoffs.
No, but they should have beat Georgia. Is what I just
Not
said.
in the talk. Boston College not in the talk. Memphis not in the talk.
Memphis lost one game late.
Okay, but they're still not. They're still 25th. They're not in the talk. They're not. They're nowhere sniffing
Still
around.
you had 4 games against teams that are legitimately have a.
I didn't say that. We're talking about the end of the year. Where are they at now? You said that there's a lot. You have only like 2 or 3 games that you didn't go up against a playoff contender.
No, I didn't. I said that we had 2 losses that were bad losses.
Okay. Well,
and that was Boston College, and that was UNC.
Okay, Memphis, but I mean, Memphis could be a good football team, but I mean, if you ever put Memphis at home against Florida State, I mean, that's a game that you should win. I mean, regardless of what the program is. I mean, but then you do SMU. Okay, I shed on them earlier. They obviously turned out to be a pretty good team. Clemson, I mean, they're middle of the road, but the only reason why they're going to possibly get in is because the ACC championship. Let's be honest, the ACC wasn't very tough this year. I think we can agree with that. Duke, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Whenever you say Duke in football, it's like Chinese to me, right?
I just disagree with your fact of that the
What's my fact?
The ACC wasn't tough this year.
The ACC wasn't tough this year? That you think the ACC was tough?
I just think it was very nuanced and balanced in terms of top to bottom. I mean, Syracuse wasn't a bad football team. Duke wasn't a bad football team. I just think there's more to it than just saying, oh, you're using that.
Well, we have no problem saying that the SEC had a down year. I mean, I have no problem saying that the ACC had a down year.
I disagree that the ACC had a down year. I think the ACC had a good year this year compared to a down year for the SEC.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams over 500.
4 of those have a chance to make the college football playoff. If we count Notre Dame.
Oh, you're talking about who you played.
Well, I mean, Notre Dame plays the ACC schedule. They just don't want to participate in the ACC championship game.
Yeah, so fuck them. Whatever. I mean, you got to take the wins where you can, and as long as you feel good about it, then who am I to tell you that you shouldn't?
I just think it's going to be a very easy turnaround for Florida State because you still have dudes, you still have guys. You just got to coach them up a little bit better.
As long as they stay, I mean, and I haven't seen anything that said otherwise. I'm just saying as long as they stay, which is also very tough. Just like we said with DJ Lagway and USC trying to offer $10 million for them to go over there. Like, it's going to be tough, especially when players start proving themselves. And honestly, I feel like that's where NIL should thrive, is like, people that went out in the field and improved it. Those are the ones to me that should be getting paid. To me, a high school kid coming in should not be getting paid until at least after his freshman. You got to put something on paper. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We'll see where the college football playoffs line up. This is championship.
National Signing Day as well, too. So there's that.
Yeah, Gators looking good. I will say that. Again, I don't really get excited about recruits until they're on campus because, as we've seen, no matter what, the last day, oh, I'm signed here. Nope, I'm going to go over here. I don't really care about it. If you're committed, you're committed. If you sign on the dotted line, to me, that means you signed onto the dotted line. So we'll see what happens there. This is championship week, right? So all of these championship games are this weekend?
Correct. And then you will have Army Navy next week.
Perfect. So we shall see where all of the college playoffs settle in. Any real quick before we get out of here, any big NFL games that are jumping out at you this week? Anything that you're really excited about? Week 14, last week of the regular season before we get into fantasy football playoffs.
I mean, for sure tomorrow, Green Bay, Detroit. That's going to be a great game in Detroit. Should be really good. I want to see Jameis play Pittsburgh and Pitt. That's always going to be entertaining and fun. Chicago gets San Francisco. Who knows what's going to happen, right?
Honestly, I can't believe the 49ers are favored by 4.5.
The Seattle-Arizona game, the Seattle defense is starting to hum and come around now. Let's see if they can keep it up.
Buffalo and the Rams. The Dolphins this week.
Yes, Jets beat the Dolphins this week. Buffalo and the Rams. It's a very interesting spot for Buffalo. You're going to the West Coast, coming off of a huge win, a couple wins in a row. The Rams are going to be fighting for your playoff life. How are those DBs going to match up? Very interesting to me. So I love that.
I like the Chargers Chiefs as well.
Yeah, I mean, Chargers Chiefs going to be a great one as well too on Sunday night. So
Bengals Cowboys Monday night.
Yeah, load up on all your Bengals.
I mean, the Bengals are just complete over.
It's funny. I was talking.
Take you over on everything.
talking to TJ. He's like, I'm playing Buff, and I got to beat Buff, yada yada yada. And I'm like, bro, he has Burrow and Chase, and he's like, yeah, but
no,
they're playing the
You might as
Cowboys.
well-
I'm like,
the only
homie.
thing that I can say that hopefully helps me, but also kind of hurts me, is that if I do happen to go up against Buff at any point, at least T. Higgins will cancel out Burrow. At least that touchdown thing. But I mean, yeah,
Maybe.
I don't know, dude. I do like the schedules going into it, though. I do like the playoff schedules. Let's see, who do they have? T. Higgins goes against Tennessee. What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on over here.
I don't know what he's doing. So they used to do against Tennessee, which I thought had a good secondary, and then I saw him get absolutely cooked. So who knows?
Depends on if Ladarius Sneed plays. So it's very dependent on one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. So
All right, that's gonna do it for this long episode. We knew it was gonna be a spicy one. Lots of stuff going on. Appreciate everybody that's dropped in. All of the viewers on Twitter. Tell you Twitter. I'm sorry, X.
if you have a moment, thoughts and prayers. My wife's going in for a procedure today. She's getting an epidural. Little work on the back done. So little
Had a few of
outpatient
them.
stuff. But
Yep.
going in for it.
Definitely will be thinking over today. I'm sure it'll go absolutely swimmingly and smooth, no issues whatsoever.
She's had 3 of them before when she had 3 kids. So I'm sure
Yeah.
this one will be fine.
Yeah, why not? Well, that's going to do it for us today on the Uninformed Fan. We will see you back here next Wednesday at 11 a.m. or ish, depending on when Jeffrey wakes up. And we will, if you're driving out of this weekend, please, for the love of God, stay out of the left-hand lane.
Be great.